I caught my parents on my security camera moving my brother into my apartment while I was out of town. Once you're settled, your sister won't dare to kick you out, Dad said. So I set them up. I was halfway through reviewing quarterly reports when I casually checked my apartment security feed and saw my parents letting themselves in. Normal Tuesday afternoon, right? I'd given them a spare key for emergencies. Except my dad was holding a tape measure. I'm Lauren, 29, and I work as a financial analyst at a boutique investment firm in downtown Chicago. My apartment in the Gold Coast isn't huge, but it's mine, every square foot paid for with money I earned through 70-hour work weeks and skipped vacations. That Tuesday changed everything. Through my phone screen, I watched Dad measure my walls while Mom took notes, tilting her head in that way she does when she's redecorating. Then my younger sister Brianna walked in behind them like she owned the place. "This is perfect," Brianna said, dropping onto my grey sectional and putting her feet on my coffee table. "Way better than that dump I've been staying at. And Lauren's never even here anyway. Always at the office." Mom nodded along, still taking notes. "We'll need to move the desk out of the second bedroom. That can be Brianna's room. Lauren can work from the office like everyone else." I sat frozen at my desk. My dad measured doorways, the hallway, everything. Once Brianna's stuff is moved in, Lauren won't make a scene. She'll understand family comes first. We just need to do it while she's in Boston for that conference next month. I started laughing, that cold, hollow laugh that makes your coworkers think you've finally cracked. My colleague Amanda glanced up with concern, but I waved her off. I just watched my family plan a hostile takeover of my apartment, and instead of feeling shocked or hurt, I felt something else entirely, relief. Because now I had them all on camera, and I was about to make them regret every choice that led to this moment. See, 6 months ago, after Mom borrowed my grandmother's pearl necklace from my jewelry box, the only thing I had from Dad's mother who actually cared about me, I installed a full security system. Cameras, motion sensors, everything. Found those pearls 3 weeks later around Brianna's neck in an Instagram photo. She told her friends she bought them with money from her consulting business. Brianna's consulting business consisted of whatever multi-level marketing scheme she was currently failing at while Mom and Dad funded her lifestyle. I'd been documenting everything since then, every conversation, every time they chose Brianna over me, every dismissive comment about how I should help family while she bled them dry. They just handed me enough evidence to destroy them all. I texted Brianna, "Hey, want to grab dinner this weekend? Been too long." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. They were probably conferring, wondering if I somehow knew. "Yeah, sounds good. Can Mom and Dad come too?" "Sure. Bring everyone. I'll cook at my place Saturday." I had 4 days to prepare. 4 days to set the trap. And Brianna, that entitled princess, walked right into it thinking she'd already won. I grew up on the North Shore as the older daughter of Richard and Patricia Morrison. Dad owned a successful commercial real estate firm. Mom ran an interior design business. We had money, a beautiful house in Wilmette, everything except parents who actually saw me. I was 7 when Brianna arrived, and I went from firstborn to forgotten overnight. The responsible one. The one who didn't need help because she was so capable for her age. Funny how a 7-year-old becomes self-sufficient when nobody's watching anymore. Brianna got dance classes while I was told extracurriculars were too expensive. She got a brand new BMW for her 16th birthday, while I worked at Target to buy my own used Honda. I got into Northwestern and they suggested community college would be more practical. Brianna barely graduated high school and they celebrated like she'd won a Nobel Prize, then paid for her apartment near DePaul even though she dropped out after 1 semester. I worked myself half to death through Northwestern, through years of grinding at accounting firms, through earning my CFA charter. 2 years ago, I bought this apartment in the Gold Coast. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan, marble countertops, the whole package. It was my proof that I didn't need their approval or their money. I'd given them that spare key because some pathetic part of me still wanted them to be proud. That key was about to cost them everything. The day after watching them measure my furniture, Brianna texted, "Hey sis, need to ask you something important." I smiled at my phone. "Sure. Why don't you all come over Saturday? I'll make that chicken marsala you guys like." I spent the next 4 days preparing, but not food. I was organizing evidence. Financial records showing every loan I'd given Brianna that she never repaid, screenshots of the 6 different business ventures my parents had funded for her that all failed, bank statements proving I'd paid for family dinners, vacations, gifts while Brianna contributed nothing and took everything. But the real work had been happening for months. Brianna's current boyfriend, Tyler, had reached out to me 12 weeks ago through LinkedIn. Professional message, very polite. He'd noticed we had the same last name and took a shot. Turns out Brianna had been using his credit cards to fund her latest business venture, some skincare MLM nonsense. She'd maxed out 3 of his cards, about $35,000 total, while telling him she was investing their money in a guaranteed opportunity. The opportunity was her buying designer handbags and taking Instagram photos at expensive brunch spots to recruit people into her downline. Tyler had receipts, all of them, and he'd been working with me to document everything. Because Brianna had also told him that I was a trust fund kid who'd never worked a real day in my life, while she'd been telling my parents that Tyler's family was wealthy and she was networking for business opportunities. All lies. Tyler was a teacher working summer school to make ends meet, while Brianna drained his accounts. But the best part? Brianna had recently started listing my apartment as her business address for her LLC, using my address for business registration without asking, probably to look more legitimate to whatever victims she was currently scamming. That meant every piece of mail, every legal document, every trace of her shady business dealings was now tied to my property. That was going to be very useful. Saturday arrived with perfect weather. I prepared the chicken masala, set the table with my good china, made everything look elegant and successful, everything they'd tried to take from me. The folders sat in my home office, waiting. The trap was set, and Brianna was about to learn that the sister she dismissed her entire life was a lot smarter than she looked. They showed up at 6. Mom brought wine. Dad immediately started eyeing the walls he'd measured 4 days ago. Brianna walked in with this smile, already acting like she lived here. And behind her came Tyler, catching my eye and giving the tiniest nod. He was in on it. "Lauren, girl, this place looks amazing," Brianna said, dropping onto my couch exactly like she had on camera. "You keeping it clean for once?" I smiled. Special occasion. Mom headed straight to the kitchen. "You should really update these cabinets, honey. They're so dated." "I like them vintage," I said. "Reminds me that good things take time to build." She blinked, not sure if I'd just insulted her. We ate dinner. Brianna dominated the conversation like always, talking about her latest business opportunity, how she was about to blow up, how she had clients lining up. Dad nodded along like she was the next Martha Stewart. Mom kept refilling her glass. Tyler stayed quiet, watching. "So, Bri," I said, setting down my fork. "How's the apartment hunting going?" She exchanged looks with our parents. Dad jumped in smooth as ever. "Maybe you could help your sister out. You've got that extra bedroom collecting dust." "The office," Mom added. "You could work from your company office like everyone else. Brianna needs a stable address for her business. Family helps family, Lauren." I took a slow sip of wine. "That's interesting. Because I could have sworn I saw you all in here earlier this week, measuring my walls, planning where to put Brianna's stuff without asking me, without even telling me." The silence was beautiful. Brianna's smile faltered. Dad's jaw tightened. Mom opened her mouth but nothing came out. "I have security cameras," I continued. "Full coverage. Installed them after Mom borrowed Grandma Morrison's pearl necklace from my bedroom. Remember that, Bri? The pearls you told your Instagram followers you bought with your business earnings." Her face went red. "You said those were just for the front door." I lied. "And I've got video of you 3 planning to move Brianna in while I'm at a conference." I pulled out my phone and played the audio. Dad's voice filled my apartment, clear as day. "Once Brianna's stuff is moved in, Lauren won't make a scene. She'll understand. Family comes first. We just need to do it while she's in Boston next month." Tyler shifted in his seat, and I saw the anger flash across his face. He'd been lied to about so many things, and now he was watching it all come together. Dad started to bluster. "Now, Lauren, you're taking this out of context." I cut him off. "You broke into my apartment to plan a hostile takeover. That's the context." "We're your family," Mom said, her voice rising. How can you be so selfish? Your sister needs help right now. She's building something important. I laughed. Actually laughed. Important? Bree, what business are you in again this week? Wellness consulting, she said defensively. It's going to be huge. It's a pyramid scheme, Tyler said quietly. All eyes turned to him. She maxed out 3 of my credit cards. $35,000 for what? Designer bags, fancy brunches, Instagram photos. Your business opportunity doesn't exist. Brianna's face went from red to pale. Tyler, what the hell? Don't. His voice was ice. Lauren contacted me 2 months ago. We've been comparing notes. What the hell is going on? Dad asked, confused. Mom looked between them, bewildered. Lauren, what is he talking about? I'm talking about your daughter being a fraud. I nodded to Tyler. Want to show them the credit card statements? He pulled out a folder. I'd taught him well, and spread the statements across my dining table. Charges at Nordstrom, Sephora, expensive restaurants. Not a single legitimate business expense in the bunch. Brianna told me she was investing our money, Tyler said. She told me we'd be 6-figure earners by the end of the year. Instead, I'm $35,000 in debt and she's been living like a trust fund kid on my credit. That's not. I can explain, Brianna stammered. Explain what? I cut her off. Explain how you've been using my apartment as your business address without asking? Yeah, I know about that too. You registered your LLC to my address without my consent. I pulled out printed documents. Morrison Beauty Consulting LLC. That's your company, right? The one you're using to scam people into buying your skincare pyramid scheme. She stood up, knocking her chair back. You had no right. You had no right to use my address. And you know what else I found in those public records? You're under FTC investigation for deceptive business practices. You're being sued by 4 different people for fraud. And you've been hiding all of this by using my address so Mom and Dad wouldn't find out. Dad's face went stone cold. Is this true, Brianna? It's all garbage. Lauren's just jealous because what? I stood up. Because I actually built something real while you've been running scams? Because I worked 70-hour weeks while you coasted on Mom and Dad's money? Because I bought this place with money I earned and you thought you could just take it? Mom was crying now. Lauren, please. She's your sister. She made mistakes, but family forgives. Forgives? I walked to my office and came back with more folders. Let me tell you what I'm forgiving. Brianna has borrowed $58,000 from me over the past 5 years. Not $1 paid back. You two have borrowed another $32,000. Also not paid back. I dropped the folders on the table. Meanwhile, Brianna's living off Tyler's credit cards, using my address for her scam business, and you 3 were planning to illegally move her into my apartment. This is everything. Every loan, every lie, every time you chose her over me. Every time you told me to be more understanding, while she took advantage of everyone around her. Brianna was sweating. You can't prove any of this means. I can prove all of it. Bank transfers, text messages, emails, recorded conversations. And the best part? Tyler's lawyer is filing a civil suit against you for fraud. The FTC is investigating your deceptive business practices. And you've been using my address as your business registration without my consent. I leaned forward. That's going to look real good when they start asking questions about mail fraud. Dad finally found his voice, but it was shaky. Lauren, sweetheart, I think you're overreacting. This is still family. No, I said. Family doesn't break into each other's homes. Family doesn't spend 22 years teaching one kid she's worthless while the other can do no wrong. I walked to the door and opened it. Get out. All of you. Leave your key on the table. If you contact me again, if you come near this apartment, I'll file for restraining orders. And Brianna? Tyler's lawyer is copying me on everything. I'm going to watch you burn. Brianna grabbed her jacket, her face twisted with rage. You're going to regret this. You think you're so smart with your job and your fancy apartment. You've always been a stuck-up bitch, and now everyone's going to know it. Better stuck up than a fraud living off other people's credit cards. She stormed out. Tyler paused at the door and looked back at me. Thank you, he mouthed. I nodded. He'd get his money back. I'd make sure of it. My parents left slower. Mom still crying, Dad wearing that mask of controlled anger I remembered from childhood. You're going to regret this, Dad said quietly. When you're alone and need family, we won't be there. Good, I said. I've been alone my whole life. This won't really bother me. After they left, I locked the door, engaged the deadbolt, and walked to my windows. The Chicago skyline stretched out before me, lights reflecting off Lake Michigan. My apartment. My sanctuary. Still mine. Amanda texted, "How'd it go? Burned every bridge. Feels amazing. Drinks tomorrow?" Absolutely. I just nuked my entire family in one dinner. And for the first time in my life, I felt completely free. Monday morning hit me with 19 texts from my mom. Each one more desperate and guilt-trippy than the last. I blocked her number after reading the first one. Blocked Dad. Blocked Brianna. The silence was peaceful. Tyler called that afternoon. His lawyer had filed charges. Brianna had been served and was blowing up his phone. Don't answer, I told him. The documentation speaks for itself. Thank you, he said, for believing me. Most people wouldn't have the guts to reach out to their scammer's family. You were smart enough to know I might actually listen. The week that followed was chaos, but the good kind. Turns out Brianna had been running her business out of 3 different addresses. Mine, Tyler's, and some P.O. box in Aurora. The FTC had been building a civil case for months based on deceptive trade practices, but once my documentation and Tyler's evidence landed, things escalated fast. Federal investigators opened a criminal case for wire fraud and mail fraud. They executed a search warrant at her apartment on Wednesday. The evidence they found, fake testimonials, stolen product descriptions, records of who she'd scammed, sealed it. Amanda sent me the news article with the headline, "Local woman charged with wire fraud in beauty MLM scheme." Brianna's mugshot looked exactly how you'd expect, stunned that consequences existed. Your sister? Amanda asked when I got to the office. Not anymore. The best part was watching Brianna's Instagram go from flexing her lifestyle to complete radio silence. Her followers started commenting, asking questions. Then someone linked the fraud charges. Then Tyler posted a statement about financial abuse. Then everything unraveled beautifully. Brianna had been scamming people with a $1,800 beauty business mentorship that was basically YouTube videos she'd stolen and repackaged. She had about 35 clients who'd paid her, none of whom learned anything except how to lose money. They all started coming forward. The lawsuits piled up. My parents tried a different approach after that. They sent my aunt, Mom's sister, to talk to me. Aunt Sharon was a good woman, never played favorites, always treated me fairly. We met for coffee on Friday. She told me straight up that Mom had asked her to intervene, but she'd told Mom she was an idiot. She'd watched them screw me over for years, had warned them they'd lose me. They hadn't listened. Brianna's been a spoiled brat since birth, Sharon said. Everyone knows it except your parents. She pulled out her phone. Tyler actually called me. Asked if I'd be a witness in his case against Brianna. I said yes without hesitation. That girl needs to learn consequences. She slid a business card across the table, her lawyer's info, already briefed on my situation, ready to help with restraining orders if needed. I took the card. Thank you. Don't thank me, she said. Just don't let them weasel their way back into your life. You're better off without them. She was right. Brianna's arraignment was the following Monday. Tyler went and sent me updates throughout. Brianna showed up in a cheap suit with a strip mall lawyer, my parents looking devastated in the gallery. The judge set bail at $40,000. Dad had to use the house as collateral. The whole time, Brianna glared at Tyler like he'd orchestrated her downfall instead of just documenting it. Zero accountability, exactly as expected. That evening, Amanda and I grabbed drinks at a wine bar in River North. She'd been my work friend for 3 years, knew all the family drama, never judged. What's next for you? She asked. Now that your family's imploding. Nothing changes, I said. I just keep living my life. They were never really part of it anyway. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Lauren, it's your mother. I borrowed your father's phone. Please call me. Brianna needs help. She could go to prison. You're her only family with the resources to hire a good lawyer. I'm begging you. I showed Amanda the text. What are you going to do? I deleted it and blocked the number. Nothing. She made her choices. 3 weeks later, Tyler's civil suit was settled. Brianna had no money, but my parents did. They paid $35,000 to keep it from going to trial, probably hoping it would make the federal charges look better for sentencing. It didn't help. Tyler sent me a message saying he got the money and was paying off the cards. He mentioned Brianna had tried to blame everything on me during depositions, said I'd set her up out of jealousy. Nobody believed her because I had evidence for everything. Meanwhile, my firm closed a major deal with a Fortune 100 client, which meant my bonus was going to be substantial, like pay off my mortgage early substantial. Amanda and I celebrated by finally taking that vacation to Napa we'd been planning. My life was objectively better without my family in it. 6 months passed. I built a life most people only dream about. Work was thriving, I got promoted to senior analyst, and I'd started dating someone, Connor, an architect I'd met through friends who came from a healthy family and couldn't comprehend the dynamics I'd grown up with. He fit into my life easily, naturally, like relationships are supposed to work. Brianna's trial date was set for November. The FTC had her dead to rights: wire fraud, deceptive business practices, identity theft. Her strip mall lawyer was trying to negotiate a plea deal, but the prosecutor wasn't interested. They wanted to make an example. I'd kept minimal tabs on my former family through Aunt Sharon. Brianna was living with my parents in their house, which they'd had to remortgage to pay for her legal fees and Tyler's settlement. Dad's business had taken a hit. Mom had to close her design business. I felt nothing about their situation. They'd made their choices. Then came the email. Wednesday afternoon between meetings. Subject line: we need to talk. No sender name, but I knew who it was. I opened it anyway. Lauren, it's your father. I'm using a work email because you blocked our numbers. I know you don't want to hear from us, but I need you to understand what you've done to this family. Brianna is facing prison time. 3 to 5 years. Her lawyer says the only way to avoid it is to pay restitution to everyone she scammed, which comes to nearly $180,000. We don't have that kind of money anymore. We've had to mortgage our house, drain our retirement. Your mother's health is suffering. Do you know how it feels to be treated like criminals because of your own daughter? I raised you better than this, Lauren. I taught you about standing by your family no matter what. Where did that girl go? Your sister made mistakes, yes, but she's paid for them 100 times over. She's trying to turn her life around, but nobody will hire her with pending federal charges. It went on for 3 more paragraphs. I didn't read them all. The end said, please call me. Let's fix this before it's too late. I read it twice, easily recognizing the manipulation patterns. The old Lauren, the one who'd spent years trying to earn scraps of approval, would have felt crushing guilt. The current Lauren recognized it for exactly what it was. I forwarded it to Aunt Sharon with one line: they're still at it. She responded within minutes: don't engage. They're desperate. Your sister's probably going to prison, and they're looking for someone to blame. Stay strong. I didn't respond to my father's email. Responding would only confirm this method worked. The second email came a week later, this time from Brianna directly. Lauren, I know Dad wrote to you. I know you ignored him. Not surprised. Ignoring people who need you is kind of your specialty, right? You sit in your fancy apartment pretending you're better than everyone. Meanwhile, your family is falling apart. Do you know what my life is like now? I can't get a job. I can't leave the state. I'm stuck living with Mom and Dad like I'm 16 again. Everyone in town knows my business because of you. Tyler got his money back. The FTC is happy. Everyone got what they wanted except me. And you? You have everything. Money, success, freedom, a boyfriend who probably doesn't know what kind of person you really are. You took the life I could have had. You sabotaged my business. You turned everyone against me. I know you think you're so smart. Well, congratulations, sister. You won. But here's the thing. One day, you're going to be in that apartment you guard like Fort Knox, and you're going to realize that all your success means nothing without family. And by the way, I know your routines. I know everything about your perfect little life. Don't think you're untouchable just because you have money and cameras. I read the last paragraph twice. That was new. That was a threat. I forwarded both emails to Aunt Sharon's lawyer. He called me within the hour. The threat in the second email gives us what we need. Combined with their documented trespassing 6 months ago and this escalating pattern, we can file for a restraining order. Document everything going forward. How fast can we move? I'll file tomorrow. With the explicit threat and your documentation, we should get a temporary order within 72 hours. I started keeping a detailed log of everything. Every email, every blocked call, every social media interaction. The temporary restraining order came through 3 days later. Brianna was ordered to stay at least 500 feet from my residence and workplace, cease all contact. The full hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks out, but the temporary order was enforceable immediately. Violation meant arrest and criminal contempt charges. Mom tried one last email through her work account, claiming I was tearing the family apart over nothing. Sharon's lawyer sent a response making it clear any further contact would result in harassment charges. The full restraining order hearing came 2 weeks later. Brianna didn't show, probably on advice of her federal defense attorney. The judge made the order permanent based on the documented threats, the trespassing attempt, and the pattern of harassment. 500 feet. No contact, no exceptions. Violation meant immediate arrest. I updated building security with the court order and Brianna's photo. Carlos, the head of security, flagged it in their system with instructions to call police immediately if she showed up. 3 weeks passed quietly after that. Mom sent one final email through her work account. Lauren, you're making a terrible mistake. Getting a restraining order against your own sister over what? An email? You're tearing this family apart for no reason. We've lost everything. Your father might have to declare bankruptcy and you're worried about an email? I'm your mother. I gave birth to you. I raised you. Doesn't that mean anything? Sharon's lawyer sent a response that made it clear any further contact would result in harassment charges. We never heard from them again through official channels. But my sister wasn't done. 3 weeks after the restraining order became permanent, I was working late at the office when Amanda called me. Lauren, you need to get home. Like right now. What's wrong? Brianna's at your building. Security called me when they couldn't reach you. She's in the lobby demanding to see you. I'm on my way. I made it to my building in 12 minutes, speeding the whole way. When I pulled into the garage, I called building security. Ms. Morrison, Carlos said. She's still here. Showed up about 40 minutes ago, claiming there's a family emergency. We told her you're not here and she's not on the approved list, but she won't leave. Says she'll wait all night if she has to. Call the police. She's not supposed to be within 500 feet of this building. Already done. They're on their way. I just wanted you to know before you came up. I'm in the garage. I'll wait here until she's gone. Through the phone, I could hear Brianna's voice in the background. Come on, man. I just need 5 minutes with my sister. There's been an accident. This is an emergency. Carlos responded, calm and professional. I've confirmed with Ms. Morrison directly. There's no emergency. You're violating a restraining order by being here. The police are on their way. This is ridiculous. She's my sister. She can't just cut me off like this. You need to leave the premises immediately or you'll be arrested. Let her arrest me then. At least I'll get to see her face when they drag me out. She thinks she's so untouchable up there in her tower. I stayed in my car, listening. Part of me wanted to go up there, wanted to confront her, but I knew that's exactly what she wanted. A scene. The police arrived 8 minutes later. Through the phone, I heard them try to reason with her, heard her shift tactics from aggression to playing the victim. She fed them a story about trying to fix her family, about me turning everyone against her, about just wanting to talk. The officers weren't buying it. They told her she was trespassing, that I'd confirmed no emergency, that she needed to leave or face arrest. Her voice shifted again. Pure venom. Fine. Tell Lauren her little corporate life isn't going to last forever. Tell her people who burn bridges usually end up alone. Tell her I'm not done. Footsteps. Voices. Then Carlos came back on the line. She's gone. Officers escorted her to her car and watched her leave. They're filing an incident report. I'd suggest considering additional security measures, Ms. Morrison. She seemed unstable. He was right. I sat in my car for another 20 minutes, then went upstairs, locked my door, and stood in my living room feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Fear. Not of Brianna specifically, but of what she might do. She was desperate, and desperate people do stupid things. Connor came over an hour later. I'd texted him what happened, and he drove straight from his office. You okay? He asked, wrapping his arms around me. Yeah. Just angry. That's allowed. He pulled back to look at me. What are you going to do? Lawyers filing a violation report. Brianna might go to jail just for showing up here. Good. Then she can't show up again. Exactly. He stayed over that night. We didn't talk much about it, but having someone there, someone who chose to be there without obligation or manipulation, reminded me why cutting off my family was the right choice. The violation report was filed the next morning. Brianna's bail was revoked. She was taken into custody pending her fraud trial. Aunt Sharon called me that afternoon with an update. Mom had called her crying, asking if she could talk to me about helping with Brianna's legal situation now that she was in custody. I told her Brianna violated a court order, that she'd been warned repeatedly, Sharon said. She didn't take it well. Sharon also mentioned Brianna's defense attorney was scrambling for a plea deal. The restraining order violation on top of the federal charges killed any sympathy angle they might have had. Brianna's federal case moved fast after that. Her attorney negotiated a plea, guilty to wire fraud and mail fraud in exchange for 18 months federal prison and 5 years supervised release, with full restitution to victims. The prosecutor accepted. My parents would spend years paying off her debts while she did her time. And I would spend that time living my life, completely free of them. 15 months later, Brianna got out. Federal inmates typically serve about 85% of their sentence with good behavior, so the timeline tracked. Aunt Sharon gave me the heads up a week before her release date. She's been asking about you. Apparently went to some kind of rehabilitation program in prison. Says she wants to make amends. Amends. I laughed. That's rich. I'm just telling you what I heard. Do with it what you want. I did nothing with it. Ignored it completely. My life had become exactly what I wanted. Work was thriving. I'd been promoted to director. Connor and I had moved in together. I'd completely rebuilt my social circle with people who actually cared about me. Then Brianna showed up at my office. Amanda came into my workspace looking uncomfortable. Your sister's in the lobby. Security stopped her, but she's asking to talk to you. I looked at the clock. 2:40 p.m. Tell security I'll come down, but I'm not letting her up here. Let's get this over with. I took the elevator down to the lobby. She was standing by the windows, looking like prison had hollowed her out. Thinner, older, harder. Lauren, she said when she saw me. Thanks for coming down. You've got 5 minutes. She looked around the lobby. Nice place. Amanda said you guys are doing well. 4 minutes. She took a breath and launched into her apology. Said she knew she'd messed up everything. Wanted to say she was sorry. It lasted maybe 90 seconds before I cut her off. No, I said. You're sorry you got caught. Not for what you did. Her face tightened. Prison changed me. I've learned and grown. Prison didn't change you. It just removed your access to victims. She pushed back. You're being unfair. I'm trying to make amends here. Don't, I said, stepping closer. You're trying to use me again. I'm not falling for it anymore, Brianna. Her mask almost slipped, just for a second. That familiar anger flashed across her face before she caught herself. I should have known you'd be like this, she said. Sharon warned me. Said you'd never forgive me. She's a smart woman. That's when the real Brianna came out. The same rant started, How I thought I was better than everyone, how Mom and Dad were broke, how she couldn't get a job, how Tyler took everything, how I was looking down on all of them. You know the difference between me and you, Brianna, I said when she finally ran out of steam. When I failed, I learned. When you fail, you blame everyone else. She tried the family obligation angle. Asked if I was going to hate her forever, never give her another chance. I'm not going to think about you at all, I said. That's the point you keep missing. You're just some woman I used to know who kept making terrible choices. You can't say that. I'm your sister. No. You're someone who shares my DNA. And here's what's going to happen now. You're going to leave, never contact me again, never show up at my office or apartment, and never reach out through anyone else. You got out of prison. Good for you. Now go rebuild your life somewhere far away from mine. And if I don't, then you keep making the same mistakes. But you stay away from me while you do it, because I'll make sure you always face consequences. She tried to call my bluff. I mentioned her probation officer might be very interested in hearing about her harassing the sister she was ordered to stay away from. That changed her expression real quick. She grabbed her jacket, her face twisted with rage. You're a cold bitch. You know that? Yes, I know that. We're not done, Lauren. One day you're going to need us and we won't be there. Promise. She stared at me for a long moment, then spit out, screw you. Right back at you, little sister. She turned and walked out. I watched her cross the street, get into a beat-up Honda Civic, and drive away. I went back upstairs. Amanda was waiting at my desk. Think she'll try again? Nope. She knows I'll have her arrested. She's not stupid enough to go back to prison. Amanda nodded. Good. Because we have that client presentation in an hour and I need you focused. I will be. I sat down and looked around my office. The skyline visible through the windows, my team working around me, everything I'd built from scratch. This was my life now, earned through years of work, protected by boundaries I'd learned to enforce. Brianna would probably try again eventually. Maybe through my parents, maybe through some mutual acquaintance, maybe through a desperate email or phone call years from now when she hit rock bottom again. And I'd ignore it. Block it. Delete it. Because I'd learned the most important lesson. Some people will take everything you have and still believe they deserve more. The only way to protect yourself is to cut them off completely, build a life they can't access, and thrive in spaces they can't invade. That was the only victory that mattered. 2 years passed like a dream. Connor and I got engaged on a weekend trip to Door County. The ring was simple, elegant, exactly what I wanted. We planned a small wedding, just close friends and the family members who actually mattered. Aunt Sharon would be there. My parents wouldn't. Work continued to exceed expectations. Our firm landed 3 major accounts in 6 months, and I was asked to lead a new division focused on sustainable investment strategies. The promotion came with a substantial raise and a corner office with views of both the lake and the river. I'd completely rebuilt my life, and it was better than anything I could have imagined when I watched that security camera footage 3 years ago. Then, on a random Thursday in March, I got a call from Aunt Sharon. Lauren, honey, I need to tell you something. Your father had a heart attack yesterday. My hand tightened on the phone. Is he okay? He's stable. He's going to live. But your mother called me this morning, asking if I'd reach out to you. She wants you to come to the hospital. I was silent for a moment, processing. Part of me, that old, wounded part, felt a flash of concern. But mostly I felt nothing. Are you going to go? Sharon asked gently. I don't know. Should I? That's not for me to say, sweetheart. But I'll tell you this, if you do go, go for yourself, not for them. Don't go hoping they've changed or that this will fix anything. People like your parents don't change, especially not your mother. She's still enabling Brianna. Brianna's still living with them. Oh yes. Still can't hold down a job. Still blaming everyone else for her problems. Your parents are struggling financially, but they're still funding her lifestyle. Some things never change. After we hung up, I sat in my office staring at Lake Michigan. Connor texted asking about dinner plans, and I told him we needed to talk. That evening, Over Thai takeout in our apartment. Our apartment, the one we'd bought together 6 months ago. I told him about the call. "What do you want to do?" he asked. "I honestly don't know. Part of me thinks I should go. Just to, I don't know, see him one last time? Be the bigger person." Connor was quiet for a moment. "You don't owe them anything, Lauren. Not your presence, not your forgiveness, nothing. You've built an incredible life without them. Don't let guilt drag you back into their dysfunction." "But what if I regret it? What if he dies and I never?" "Then you regret it. But you'll regret it from the safety of the life you've built, not from the wreckage of letting them back in." He was right. He was always right about this stuff because he'd grown up in a family where love wasn't conditional, where boundaries were respected, where people didn't weaponize guilt. I didn't go to the hospital. Instead, I sent flowers with a card that read, "Wishing you a full recovery, Lauren." Professional. Distant. Appropriate. My mother called from the hospital. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. "Lauren, it's Mom. Your father is asking for you. He's in the ICU and he wants to see his daughter. I know there's been tension between us, but family is family. This is serious. Please come. Please." I deleted the voicemail. Aunt Sharon called 2 days later. "Your father's out of the ICU. He's going to be fine. He asked about you." "What did you tell him?" "I told him the truth, that you've moved on with your life and you're happy." He didn't like that answer, but it's not my job to make him feel better about his choices. "Thank you, Sharon, for everything." "You don't have to thank me, honey. I'm proud of you. You did what I wish I'd done years ago, walked away from toxic people, even when they're family." 3 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. My father's handwriting on the envelope. I almost threw it away unopened, but curiosity got the better of me. "Dear Lauren, I'm writing this from home, recovering from my heart attack. The doctors say I need to reduce stress, take better care of myself, make peace with things that trouble me. That's why I'm writing to you. I need you to know that I'm sorry. Not for everything. I still believe we were trying to help Brianna, trying to keep our family together. But I'm sorry for the way we went about it. I'm sorry for breaking into your apartment. I'm sorry for not respecting your boundaries. Your mother and I have been struggling since you cut us off. Financially, yes, but also emotionally. You were always the strong one, the successful one, and not having you in our lives has left a hole we can't fill. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking you to let us back into your life. I'm just asking you to consider, maybe years from now, if you might be willing to have a conversation. Just a conversation. I want you to know that despite everything, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what you've accomplished. And I'm sorry I never said that when it mattered. Your father." I read it twice, sitting at my kitchen table while Connor made coffee. "What does it say?" he asked. I handed it to him. He read it silently, then looked at me. "How do you feel?" "I feel nothing. Maybe a little sad, but mostly nothing. It's too late, you know? This doesn't fix 29 years of being second choice. This doesn't undo them trying to steal my apartment. This doesn't change who they are." "So you're not going to respond?" "No. There's nothing to say." I folded the letter and put it in a drawer with all the other documentation, evidence of a chapter of my life that was permanently closed. 6 months later, Connor and I got married in a small ceremony at a vineyard in Michigan. 45 guests, all people who genuinely cared about us. Aunt Sharon walked me down the aisle because she'd been more of a parent to me than my actual parents ever were. During the reception, as Connor and I danced to our first song, I looked around at all the people celebrating with us. Amanda and her husband. My colleagues from work. Connor's huge, warm family who'd welcomed me with open arms. Friends who'd stood by me through everything. Not a single person there was related to me by blood except Aunt Sharon, and it was perfect. Absolutely perfect. "What are you thinking about?" Connor asked, pulling me closer. "How lucky I am. How good life is. How glad I am that I chose myself 3 years ago. Best decision you ever made." "Second best," I said, kissing him. "Marrying you was the best." He laughed, And we kept dancing as the sun set over the vineyard, the golden light painting everything beautiful. 3 years after that, 6 years after the dinner that changed everything, I sat in my new office in the John Hancock Center, looking out over the city I'd conquered through sheer determination and hard work. I was now a partner at my firm, one of the youngest in the company's history. My phone buzzed with a text from Connor. Olivia just kicked me. Pretty sure she's going to be a soccer player. I smiled, placing my hand on my rounded belly. We were expecting our first child in 3 months. A daughter we'd already named Olivia, after Connor's grandmother who'd been the matriarch of his warm, functional family. Amanda knocked on my door. You ready for the board meeting? Absolutely. As I gathered my materials, I caught sight of my reflection in the office windows. Successful, confident, happy. Everything I'd worked for. Everything I'd protected by setting boundaries that my family couldn't respect. Sometimes I wondered about Brianna, where she was, what she was doing. Through Aunt Sharon, I'd heard she'd finally gotten a job as a receptionist at a dental office, that she was still living with my parents, that they were all struggling but managing. I felt neither satisfaction nor guilt about their situation. I simply felt nothing, and that was exactly how it should be. Later that evening, at home with Connor, while we assembled a crib in the nursery, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Lauren Morrison speaking. Lauren. It's Mom. I froze. It had been 6 years since I'd heard her voice. I know I'm not supposed to call, she continued quickly, as if afraid I'd hang up. But I needed you to know. Your father passed away. Last night. Another heart attack. I thought you should know. I was quiet for a long moment, processing the information. I felt a wave of something. Sadness, maybe, or just the recognition of an ending. But it wasn't the crushing grief she probably expected. I'm sorry for your loss, I said finally, my voice steady. Thank you for letting me know. The funeral is Saturday at. I won't be attending. Lauren, please. He's your father. You have to. I don't have to do anything. I'm sorry he's gone. I truly am. But I made my choice 6 years ago, and that choice hasn't changed. I wish you and Brianna the best, but I won't be there Saturday. Goodbye, Mom. I hung up before she could respond. Blocked the number. Connor stopped assembling the crib, watching me carefully. You okay? Yeah, I said, and I meant it. Yeah, I'm okay. Do you want to go? To the funeral? I shook my head. No. That chapter of my life ended 6 years ago. This doesn't change anything. He came over and wrapped his arms around me, and we stood there in the nursery, in the home we'd built together, in the life I'd fought to create, while the Chicago sunset painted the walls gold. The next morning, I sent a flower arrangement to the funeral home with a simple card, with sympathy. No name, no message beyond that. It was more than they deserved, but it was the closing statement I needed. Saturday came and went. While my father was being buried, I was at a prenatal yoga class with Connor, preparing for our daughter's arrival, living in the present I'd built instead of the past that had tried to destroy me. 3 months later, when Olivia was born, she came into a family filled with love, support, and healthy boundaries. Connor's parents flew in from Denver to help. Aunt Sharon was there every day. Amanda brought meals. Our lives were full of people who chose to be there, who showed up without obligation or manipulation. Holding my daughter for the first time, I made her a silent promise. She would never know what it felt like to be second choice. She would never have to earn love or fight for attention. She would grow up knowing she was wanted, cherished, and valued exactly as she was. And if she ever asked about my parents, about her grandparents, I would tell her the truth. That sometimes, protecting yourself means walking away from people who hurt you, even if they're family. That blood doesn't obligate you to accept mistreatment. That choosing your own well-being isn't selfish, it's survival. But I didn't think she'd ask. Because she'd grow up in a family where love was unconditional, where boundaries were respected, where people didn't weaponize guilt or manipulate emotions. She'd grow up in the family I'd created, not the one I'd escaped. Years passed. Olivia grew into a bright, confident 4-year-old. Connor and I bought a house in Lincoln Park with a yard and a tree swing. I made senior partner at my firm. Life was full, Busy, beautiful. I never heard from Brianna again. Through Aunt Sharon, I learned she'd eventually married someone, moved to Wisconsin, had a kid of her own. I hoped she'd figured herself out, but I didn't wonder too deeply. She was someone from my past, and my past was a place I no longer visited. My mother sent one last letter when Olivia was born. It arrived at my office, probably because she didn't have my new home address. I opened it out of habit more than curiosity. Dear Lauren, I heard through Sharon that you had a baby girl. Congratulations. I'm a grandmother and I'll never get to meet her. That breaks my heart in ways I can't describe. I don't understand how we got here. I don't understand how my daughter could be so cold, so unforgiving. But I suppose this is the life you've chosen. Success over family, pride over love. I hope your daughter never treats you the way you've treated us. I hope you never know what it feels like to be abandoned by your own child. Mother. I read it once, then filed it away with all the other documentation from that chapter of my life. There was no point in responding. She still didn't understand, and she never would. The difference was, I'd stopped needing her to. That evening, I sat on our back porch watching Connor push Olivia on her swing, her laughter filling the air like music. The Chicago skyline glowed in the distance, the city that had become my true home. My phone buzzed with a text from Amanda. Wine night next week? I need to tell you about this insane client meeting. Absolutely. Thursday? Perfect. This was my family now. The one I'd chosen, the one I'd built, the one that had never asked me to compromise my well-being or sacrifice my boundaries. And it was more than enough. It was everything. 10 years after that dinner, 10 years after I watched my parents on that security camera, I sat in my office in the Hancock Center, now managing director of the entire Chicago branch. Olivia was 8, smart and sassy, and completely unaware that she had grandparents and an aunt she'd never met. My phone rang. Aunt Sharon. Hey, I answered. Everything okay? Your mother died, honey. Stroke. Yesterday morning. I thought you should know. I felt that familiar wave of something, not grief, exactly, but acknowledgement. An ending. Thank you for telling me. There's going to be a funeral. Small thing. Do you? No, I said gently. But thank you. After we hung up, I sat looking out at Lake Michigan, thinking about the woman who'd given birth to me but never really seen me. I felt sad for her, sad that she'd spent her whole life enabling Brianna, sad that she'd died having never understood what she'd lost, sad that she'd never known her granddaughter. But I didn't feel guilty. I'd made the right choice. The hard choice, but the right one. That evening, I went home to my family, my real family. Connor was helping Olivia with her math homework at the kitchen table. When I walked in, they both looked up and smiled. Rough day? Connor asked. Long day, I said. But I'm home now. Olivia jumped up and ran to hug me. Mama. Guess what? I got an A on my spelling test. That's amazing, baby. I'm so proud of you. And I was. So incredibly proud. Because she was growing up knowing she was loved, knowing she was valued, knowing she was enough exactly as she was. Later that night, after Olivia was in bed, Connor and I sat on our couch with glasses of wine, my head on his shoulder. Sharon called, I said quietly. My mother died. He pulled me closer. I'm sorry. Do you want to talk about it? Not really. I'm glad Olivia will never know what I went through. I'm glad she'll never have to make the choice I made. She's lucky to have you as her mom. We are lucky to have each other. He kissed the top of my head, and we sat there in comfortable silence, in the home we'd built, in the life we'd created. I'd spent the first 29 years of my life trying to earn love from people who would never give it. I'd spent the last 10 years learning that the best revenge isn't burning bridges, it's building something so beautiful on the other side that you never look back. And I never did.